surprise that came down there, and that's why they end up being caught out and lose the game. But for them, yeah, with losing these 2 bans, I feel like this week is probably the best week to do it, because they faced Giants yesterday, where you only have to ban Jax, and against ROCCAT, there's not really any target bans you have to aim for, because nobody's really been standing out on any specific champions.
Maybe Azir against Overpow. He has had some changes.
Has been nerfed, 5.3.
Has had some changes.
Don't think so. I don't think that's going to be the ban. You can fear, of course, the Lissandra has been a fantastic first pick here in Europe. Kassadin already banned by ROCCAT on their side. So, again, I'm not really sure what Elements is gonna have to ban here.
Players giving the camera just a little bit of love there as they wave to each other. As we mentioned, Elements will be losing those 2 bans. We'll see what they decide to take out for the 3rd ban. But I do just want to reiterate the following. Elements are 0-4. They've lost their 4 last games. ROCCAT are 1-3.
Yeah.
Only one matchup in their last 4.
I do think Elements is going to ban Zed. It's been the most banned champion for them. It's often banned against Nukeduck. And also with all these mid lane bans from ROCCAT itself, they are setting up for a good lane matchup for Mr. Nukeduck. A player who has had a few good games, but overall, we haven't seen too much from him. But same goes for everyone on that team.
Yeah, I really like Nukeduck's Kassadin, actually. I think of the champions he's performed on, that's significantly better than most. We do see the Zed was taken away, a near insta-lock on LeBlanc. And we do see a teleport plus ghost for Overpow. I wonder if that's signaling anything to come.
But you can really see, again, the bans here from ROCCAT. They were expecting the Zed to be banned by Elements, which is a good matchup into LeBlanc, and also the Kassadin. So they're taking away the 2 counters in the laning phase. So this is actually a fairly easy lane for Nukeduck himself on LeBlanc, and therefore the first pick. But when you take LeBlanc here, even though the bans were shaped towards it, you do leave up a lot of strong picks, and now Gnar, Rek'Sai coming in for Elements. So I don't actually think they care too much about Nukeduck getting one of his comfort picks. There's just so many champions Froggen can play. Worst case, you just take an Orianna and you just sit back and farm.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to do. Slowing down in the 2nd rotation. With that Gnar and Rek'Sai on the board, Elements have got themselves some good lane presence and pressure from Shook in the jungle. And Kevin's obviously going to have the scaling in that front line. Also interesting, they've locked as per their positions. 10 seconds left to go. It's the duo lane for ROCCAT. Corki plus Morgana. They've got range, they've got poke, they've got a lot of magic damage. And we'll see what they're going to do with it.
Should be a Morgana support. Simply, as you just said here, they already have the LeBlanc and Corki locked in, so we have too much magic damage for ROCCAT. But we often see teams take like Morgana, Corki, like long range, poke against the likes of a Rek'Sai, because Rek'Sai doesn't have that hard engage option we see on a Jarvan. And that simply means when there's a Black Shield as well, if Rek'Sai ever gets close to someone, you Black Shield that target, you stop the knock-up, and you can't really start fights through that. And that's why Elements are responding, saying, fair enough, we take Sivir now, we get the mobility, no Graves again for Rekkles instead. Full focus on the teamfight and the 5-on-5 here from Elements.
So, Rekkles plays 8 games of Graves in a row. Yesterday pulls out the Corki, today pulls out the Sivir. Not going for Graves this week. We'll see if it works out for him. Elements still looking to lock in their mid lane. A number of options are available to him. For ROCCAT, they are looking for a top lane champion, and a jungle is the most likely. And we'll see where they're going to fall.
Yeah, we've seen Irelia into Gnar a few times, and it's a champion Overpow likes to play. He used it back at IM Cologne a lot. It was actually banned away from him as well. But it does require you to stick in that one-on-one lane and not go for the team fights. And that's where ROCCAT is going to get in trouble, because on Element's side, you now have enough engage to always force a fight. So when Irelia is sitting on her own and split pushing, if she's not in the right position to really pressure a tower, or TP down for a fight itself, but then Elements will always engage on you, and even if she teleports in, the Gnar will be stronger in pure team fighting. So Elements on their side, as long as they don't allow ROCCAT to force like this 1-4 split where you have, or maybe in 1-3-1 with the LeBlanc in one lane, and then obviously the Irelia in the other one, and just stick to team fighting, then Elements are going to be just fine. They have good lanes all around. Sivir into Corki is perfect for them. As long as they get a safe mid laner here who doesn't die to a LeBlanc, they're basically good to go. What
mid lane are you expecting the most? We've seen Froggen run Lulu in the past. We've seen the option of Orianna. If they want to go double AD, Ezreal has been flirted with this week, I think is the best way to highlight. 10 seconds left on the clock. What are you expecting most likely, Deficio?
Well, if it is an Ezreal, it's not a safe lane for well, it's not a lane he's going to win, which goes for most of the lanes for Ezreal, but he can sit back and farm with his Q. He's going to run heal as well, most likely, or barrier even, because again of the Ignite here from Nukeduck. So he's going to be fine just farming in the lane, and then when you run this double AD carry composition, you have so many fast pushing options because of Sivir with her wave flash she's adding in, and then Ezreal as well with the long-range poke. So for Element side, I mean, it's a strong all-around 5-on-5 team fight. No peel, which means if ROCCAT can actually get a flank, they can kill the carries in the backline. But that's why Elements are looking to start the fight themselves and not allow ROCCAT to do it.
So we'll see who's going to get the opportunity to get the ball rolling, get those fights started. You can see the two respective team coaches, Ducky on your left, Mart on the right. We heard from Mart yesterday at the top of the show, and he was discussing how it was a mindset issue Elements was looking to rectify by bringing Kevin in. And we'll see if it works out for them today.
Yeah.
Too many opinions.
Too many opinions before. Nobody really listened to each other.
Yeah.
And now we heard they were very happy with Kevin. He was actually an option for them even going a few years back where they were creating this whole team. So Kevin definitely a guy who's been around for a long time. Had a good performance on Lissandra as well yesterday against Giants. And now, obviously, into an Irelia. He's going to win the laning phase early, we would expect. But then, once you get that Trinity Force, that's where you look more for team fighting on the Gnar, especially pushing on the Irelia.
So, another Ezreal mid here in Europe. You're about to see those team comps. Hit us up on Twitter, guys. Hashtag ROC win, hashtag EL win. Vote for who you feel will come out on top as we do jump onto the Rift. All the rules that I thought were associated with double AD compositions have been thrown out the book this week. You're going to see whether or not this Gnar frontline from Kevin and engage from Nyph is going to buy enough time for Froggen and Rekkles to put the damage down. We did see that sort of AD caster from Betsy yesterday, where he went early Manamune into Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yeah.
It gave a lot of kiting time, but there's also pretty, fast dashes and jumps from ROCCAT. So
I mean, I would quite like Iceborne Gauntlet against an Aurelia, especially because you don't really have any other peel. Overpow will get spotted here. Nyph saving his stun and getting the ward for Elements. So they want to get these early wards in here, trying to spot a potential lane swap, get a bit of information, but they are spotted. This is risky. ROCCAT can now come around them. If a binding connects from Vander, that's going to be your target.
Oh, Froggen's in a little bit of trouble.
And he's stunned as well.
From the rest of the team. How could this turn out? Everybody moving apart. Froggen actually not with the rest of the squad, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. Vision deep for Elements.
And the reason Elements are feeling so confident here is just because of Nyph. With his AoE stun at level 1, leading the charge for them. Didn't really get any deep wards played.
Oh yeah, I noticed that actually. Didn't put it down.
So been very standard wards instead, just to see if anyone is crossing the river. And Woolite placing the ward we've seen a few times already up in the lane bush to see if an AD carry or support is sitting ready to either do a little cheese level 1 or walk in to freeze the wave. So they're going to see Nyph if you walk into this lane, and then you can see the swap.
So Deficio, you touched on the lanes, the strengths and weaknesses and picks and bans. Was Elements looking for deep vision there and trying to set up some shenanigans, but ROCCAT scared them away? What would have been the game plan for Elements if they were not surrounded by ROCCAT members?
The thing is, Elements have good lanes, but against an Irelia, you normally want a lane swap on her to try and shut it down and delay her Trinity Force, which is so important for it to reach that power spike. But you can also say it's not even bad for Elements to get standard lanes. Any Sivir is good into the likes of a Corki, and Gnar, if Kevin can not die to these crooks, is going to win against Irelia early on as well.
Keep an eye on that one. I think he should be fine, but that was very, very close.
It's going to delay him quite a lot here, though.
Kevin finally going to clear that wave out, and then most likely teleport down to face off against Overpow. We'll see how quickly he can get into lane. Started with that Doran shield, defensive start against the Flask of Overpow, so sustain in that lane. And I definitely want to see how Froggen does against this LeBlanc.
Yeah, remember, Rekkles also came late to the lane because he was helping Kevin, expecting the lane swap. You saw Nyph walk in for a freeze, he took a hit for it, and again, Rekkles being late to the lane, so he's actually falling behind in XP early on and has to wait now for the wave to turn. Elements playing it very, very close in these camps.
Fast and loose, but it hasn't cost them yet. Little bit of time against Kevin and a CS difference, but the wave is pushing towards him.
We did see Kevin get a pink ward on his first back, so I'm really expecting to see Shook camp this bottom lane. Shut down this Irelia in the one-on-one. And as long as Kevin is a little further behind from now, then he's more than fine. Level 3, remember he got the crooks for instant level 2 on his side, and it's not going to be a problem. So place this pink ward here, allow Rek'Sai now to tunnel over the wall and go for some ganks on Overpow if he ever plays too aggressive. Good
stun from Kevin. Get some damage in Overpow, but it is returned by his opposite number. Small level advantage for Kevin, as you've already highlighted. Shook continuing to clear out the jungle as best he can. An early skirmish is Saber, in fact, as his first back. We do see Rekkles and Nyph, 20 CS to 18. Rekkles trying to step in front of Nyph, who just ate the Dark Binding. But a fair amount of AoE and wave clear from those two.
Was spotted. Ward just disappeared. So they got to see him. First little route here. We actually see skirmishes Saber so often against the Jarvan. Because often if Jarvan is fighting a one-on-one against another jungler, he's going to use his combo to get in onto the jungler itself. Then you have the skirmisher here to get the 20% damage reduction and the true damage, so you kind of keep... You know he's not going anywhere, because he's already used the combo to get to you. And that's where you then can win the one-on-one on the Rek'Sai with the true damage especially. It's going to help out a lot. Yeah. We see this so often on Rek'Sai into Jarvan.
And we'll see if it works out for Shook. Going to just continue farming up a relatively early sweeping lens there. And we'll see if it can work out. If you look at the bottom lane, you'll notice Jankos setting himself up. Going to look for Demacian Standard into the Dragon Lance, and a very insta-flash from Kevin. Summoner spell blown.
So Jankos can return to this lane now. Still surprised Shook actually used some time in the top side, despite Kevin putting down an early pink ward. Jankos could even have walked in and cleared that ward after the gank itself. Could maybe been a little bit risky, I guess, if Rek'Sai had come over the wall.
I don't think anybody stepped into that bush just yet.
They pinged it though. They saw it. It was very easy to spot because you saw their ward in the inventory for Kevin, and then just go into the bush and place it. So they know the ping ward is there. Just want to get vision on Shook first before they go and clear it. Don't want to risk him coming for a counter gank. But honestly, for ROCCAT, yes, they like to go for really long games, but that's not because it's their choice. It's more they don't really do anything in the early game. They're way too passive, way too scared to make plays. But their comp, if they don't make anything happen in the mid game itself, they won't win the game. So they have to be able to make some plays.
Well, we saw that from Unicorns of Love yesterday. Mid game, once they got their Trinity Forces, they did not look for those engages. We're expecting both Overpow and Woolite to go that route. Good ward is going to spot out Jankos in the jungle, so Shook is going to clear out the Gromp. Maybe set himself up for a fight. He's gone in, he's knocked him up. Jankos is in trouble, got the red buff, it's ticking. Shook with first blood from a great ward, and that was just all too easy.
All too easy for him. But getting that kill is so important. You get all the information on the enemy jungler. You renew your red buff as well on the Rek'Sai. Great little setup for him. And he's still not showing himself in the bottom side. Putting all the focus on the top side of the map, making sure Rekkles and Nyph can actually push down his lane over and over.
Look at the CS difference between Kevin and Overpow. Irelia really making Gnar's life difficult. And yes, Shook is paying attention to the top half of the map, but it's paid dividends. He's got himself that kill, he's refreshed his buff. And it was actually the Rek'Sai invading on the Jarvan and secured him that play.
It's not been a good start for Kevin. He came back to the lane fairly late after doing Crooks, and he actually was slightly ahead in XP, but then the gank came in from Jankos, forced Kevin to recall.
Yeah, no
the wave was actually frozen near the Tower of ROCCAT. So as you said, yeah, Jankos could just return and kill him unless he recalled, which then forced him to fall even further behind in terms of CS. So that's not a good start from Elements, but they can be happy with the other lanes doing fairly well.
So Shook does have access to that Void Rush.
There we go.
Cleared out Crab in the top lane a little while ago, Crab in the bottom lane. Pinkward still standing. That was placed very, very early on, at least 5 or so minutes ago. And Shook setting up on this bottom lane. Overpower, access to level 6. His ultimate's on cooldown for a few seconds longer. Does have Sheen and 3 points on that Equilibrium Strike. So looking for the burst as opposed to the sustain that we saw from yesterday's Irelia's.
He's looking for the setup with his jungler, and now Shook will actually find him. Overpow playing this smart. He comes back to the lane, you see a big wave, and he still knows there's a pink ward in the river. So he just said, okay, I'm just going to wait for the minions to push down. I'm not going to go for any trades here. I'm not going to try and be greedy for CS because there's such a high chance of the enemy jungler sitting in that river. So that was a smart play by him. Now he can get the farm, and yeah, he maxes E. Really setting up some easy ganks for Jankos. There's still no flash on Kevin. Not for long, so if ROCCAT want to take advantage of that, it has to be now.
Take a look at the item build here from Froggen. I think both of our Ezreal mids yesterday went Manamune first. And Deficio, you were touching on how it sort of delays the power spike and whatnot. Today, Froggen's gone for the tier as well as the makings of a Phage. So we may see a slightly earlier Trinity Force, a slightly later Manamune. We'll see how the lane continues to play out.
it's going to be the Trinity Force here after tier, and that's going to give him that mid-game spike around 15 minutes, which is really strong for him. He's also going to use his team to counter the spike from ROCCAT's side. You know they're going to get Trinity Force on Irelia and on the Ezreal, so I quite like it here from Froggen, being able to respond and knowing there's going to be a lot of action in about 7-8 minutes time. That's where ROCCAT is going to hit their spike, and if they don't use it, then Elements can still drag it fairly late, have a very strong front line with Gnar, the Rek'Sai, and of course the Sivir will outskill a Corki as well in terms of damage.
Oh, Froggen takes a lot of damage from Nukeduck. We did see Vander scaring Shook out of the jungle, but here comes Jankos. Equilibrium strike out onto Kevin. Cataclysm goes down and an insta-stun from Kevin. Jankos and Overpow still putting the damage down. Despite a good two-man, not enough. Flash was not available, and Jankos makes the kill count.
So Jankos returning to the lane. Overpow again with that max E for longer stun duration. Easy setup for them. And actually, we just talked about how Elements can go late beforehand. Look at the combo again. That's actually going to be risky for them because it's pure physical on their side. No magic damage coming in except for the Annie and obviously the W from Gnar. So for ROCCAT, they can stack armor on Irelia, on the Jarvan, get an hourglass on your mid lane as well, and suddenly his late game teamfight is actually going to be very long.
This might be bad. The stun comes out. Here comes Vander. Kevin teleports to a tower that's going to die and is forced to flash. Toby would say that TP sucked if he were casting the game. Unfortunately for Elements, but well played by ROCCAT. They punish Kevin for not having flash. They punish him for his misplay, and ROCCAT secure the first tower. It is replied by Rekkles, or should be.
But that roam from Vander, he came down again to try and dive and force the tower to take a dragon after, because, well, he was expecting to lose the top turret. It was still very... It was on like 87% HP, so he could actually stay in the lane 2-2, delayed that one for a long time, just have Overpow and Jankos take tower on their own. But went for the roam instead, so giving up a tower. Now Kevin, he's caught.
Soul Shackles is out, he's going to get rooted. Dark Binding connects, and that's just brutal. He tries to hop away. Kevin 0-2-0. Jankos and Overpow are just camping him. I mean, they're misplays from Kevin, maybe.
He should, of course, have known ROCCAT is doing the dragon after taking tower, and you can't overextend. Now your turret is gone. It's a little bit too easy for ROCCAT to go behind him and pick up another kill. So the roam paying off for Vander despite losing the top turret to Rekkles and Nyph.
So yesterday, Gambit were able to keep their opposing Irelia down, delaying the Trinity Force with repeated ganks. Today, Shook unable to do so because his decision was to focus the top half of the map. Irelia 2-0-0 with a 30 CS advantage. Overpow is in a great position. The rest of Elements, even on CS in the mid lane, ahead on CS in the top lane, and Rekkles has also secured that tower, so it's freed up Elements' duo to move around, either help out their teammates or decide to push other lanes. It looks to be the latter. It looks like Elements are grouping towards the bottom half of the map as Kevin has moved his way up top.
This should result in another tower for Elements, pushing this one in, because ROCCAT is actually keeping their dual lane on the top side, and a Sivir can push a lot harder than the likes of a Corki when it comes to every single wave. You even see Shook joining in, so they know, okay, we actually have an opening here on this turret. He's going to find Jankos, however.
Oh, they want Overpow.
Realizing Jankos here to back away. But this one, the tower. ROCCAT right now is giving up 2 turrets to Rekkles. They have to respond with one in the top lane on their own.
Good global objectives here from Elements, despite giving up some kills. Rekkles is going to wait for that minion wave to lose a few more before he secures it. 2 towers to 1. Woolite and Vander looking to do the same in the top. No support from Elements yet. Void Rush not available either. So this tower is most likely going to go down. Kevin, can't land the stun. Does actually get caught by the Dark Binding. Now Vander is going to throw down the Soul Shackles. Flash forward, stun is out. Woolite is putting the damage down, but Kevin is very tanky. It's taking a lot of hits. This is 0-3. And Kevin is really not in this game at the moment.
No, he's playing really greedy.
Look, he's shaking his head.
He wanted to try and defend the tower, but it was already so low that ROCCAT could just stay after the minions died anyway and last hit, and they just kill him. And then the death down in the bottom lane as well, after the dragon had been taken, he stayed out, ignored the fact his turret was gone, and he was all on his own. So just 2 very
poor
sloppy
calls.
kills, or
Yeah.
sloppy deaths, sorry,
Yeah.
for Kevin.
So let's take stock of the situation. 2 towers to 2. ROCCAT are securing kill after kill against Kevin. Trinity Force already picked up for Overpow. Trinity Force completed for Woolite. So we're expecting them to make a play. I do want to touch that Rekkles working his way towards his first item spike, but it's Rekkles and Nyph that have taken the 2 towers on Element's side.
Yeah, so what ROCCAT actually decided to do in the early game was say, we don't care about you taking a tower as well. We are fine trading because we want to hit our power spike.
He managed to get the stun on Nukeduck though. That was actually great. Nyph does get away with his life, but forced to flash.
And the problem for him now, when he's forced back to base, ROCCAT already have the Trinity Force, so they're going to group in mid lane now with at least 4 guys while you keep their Irelia to split push. That's why they were happy trading towers, just to get to this spike earlier. As we just said beforehand, Sivir is not there yet on her side. So for now, ROCCAT will be very strong. No Trinity Force Froggen. That's the correct push they're making here. Try and land a bit of poke, get just a little bit of damage on this turret every time, and make sure the top lane now is not going to push too far down. Meet it beforehand, start slow pushing it back, and just have this Irelia on her own. If Kevin goes down to try and one-on-one her, he's going to die. So you have this 1-4 setup with one lane slow pushing, and that's how they can keep pushing in on this mid turret, and after some time should be able to take it down.
We'll see if they can actually make that play work.
It's a lot of wave clear though from Elements.
For the time being, that True Shot Barrage, the Ricochet, the Boomerang Blade, it's all doing work. Actually, 2 boomerangs on the side of Elements, Gnar and Sivir. We'll see if that can help them maintain control of the tower. Kevin finally getting his hands on some juicy CS. He's 40 down, left alone in that top lane. But notice, with the 2 Trinity Forces, how aggressive ROCCAT are positioning on the map.
And you even see Overpow here. He's actually not going to the top lane to take the farm. He wants to join for the fight and save the teleport for the dragon in about a minute's time. So he's running from the base. 5 guys grouped up here, getting a bit of wards down in the jungle off Elements, try and catch them up. But there's still a big wave pushing down this top lane.
So let's see how it works out. Who's going to get advantage? Nukeduck, as well as Woolite, putting an auto attack after auto attack on this mid tower. It's down to a couple hundred hit points before the minions dry up. Elements, Shook is using that passive from the burrow to really spot all of ROCCAT's movements. Elements defend their tower. They managed to shove back ROCCAT from their jungle, but look at the wards. ROCCAT got some deep ones placed as Dragon is about to spawn.
Yeah, and the problem for Elements, they might have defended the tower for now, but it still took about 60% damage. So it's going to be easy for ROCCAT after taking a Dragon to go back to a 1-4 and just keep pushing it and get a few hits. You have your Sheen proc from the Corki every time. That tower will go down, and Elements won't be able to respond the same way and take down the mid turret from ROCCAT, at least not for now. They're setting up for Dragon instead. That was poorly timed recall by Jankos, because he's not going to be there now, so the Elements actually got control of the Dragon area. Just will lose turret, which, as we talked about, has already gone so low from beforehand, just a matter of time before it will go down.
So ROCCAT making some better plays in the early game. We're 16 minutes on the clock. They've already got 3 kills, got themselves towers. They're getting some position on the Dragon. And this is an early game. This is an early game that ROCCAT can be happier with. Vote is still in favor of Elements. Oh, is this going to steal? 2,000 hit points. Looks like ROCCAT are waiting. Nope. Yeah, they delayed it. You could see so clearly. But the one thing that's great is just for a team like ROCCAT, who have been struggling, 1-3 in the last 4 games, have shown that their early game and their laning phase is a weakness in their match. They've shown a good game plan, a good strat. They've got Irelia, her Trinity Force early, and ROCCAT are pushing around the map.
Just using their spike correctly. And Elements realizing they couldn't fight for Dragon either. Had no good position on it. Already lost the mid turret. So Rek'Sai is showing himself in the top lane. ROCCAT now knows that's going to be pushed down because they saw Nyph as well. Should be able to react in time. The problem is still this Irelia sitting in the bottom lane on her own. Nobody can go down and stop her. She has teleport as well. And she's so far ahead of Kevin, who's died so many times. Vander with the black shield. Needs to get procced, and then you can stun him. Nope.
Oh, Tempest comes out. Does not manage to stun Vander. So with that big AoE stun down, Vander, he flashes for the deaths. Does manage to connect with the Dark Binding. Now Nukeduck looking for a target. He uses the double leap. Does get in. Kevin forced to hop away. ROCCAT are on the chase. Shook has the Ignite burning. He's forced to burrow under the turret. Teleport from Overpow to mid lane while all of this is going on. 3 members of Elements still in retreat. I can't talk today. As Nukeduck nukes Kevin down. Gets himself on the board. 5 for 1. They punish Elements' aggressive play.
Yeah, it really seems like Elements not too sure what they want to do. didn't feel like they could push them mid lane, so they went 4 guys to the top lane instead. Showed at least 3 of them, so ROCCAT knew what was going on. Rotated around to defend the turret, and then once they went for Vander with the tippers, Nyph just tried to connect the tippers when Black Sheep would have disappeared or died, and it just stayed alive, meaning Vander could turn it around with the binding, and then ROCCAT chasing it up, and Overpow, of course, using teleport to defend the mid turret. So good response from them. Elements just trying to make some plays to get back here. Nyph.
Oh, Nyph is caught out once more. He does flash this time round. Woolite jumps in, but it's Overpow that secures the kill. It's Woolite that's in trouble. He does manage to put enough distance thanks to that Valkyrie and flash. But another quick kill for ROCCAT. Just pulling the trigger and melting Nyph's HP bar.
And just making a good play after getting the 2 kills. Completely taking over Element's topside jungle. Wow, he actually dodged it. Not bad, Woolite. Not bad.
Going to be able to use that bobsled to slide away. Woolite 1-0-2. Sork shoes completed as well as that Triforce. ROCCAT are showing that they can play the map, they can push the map. And they're playing aggressive. I mean, Elements don't really have a reply. The few moves that Elements have made, they've been punished for.
It's what we said. ROCCAT with this comp have to make plays in the mid game, and they have done it. So full credit to them. Got the 3 out of turrets, picked the fight, or at least punish Elements for trying to make some plays. Only problem now is you don't have a teleport. Well, another problem could be Woo!
That was close. That was so close.
But no teleport now for Overpow, meaning, yes, you can still do your 1-4, but you have to be very careful, because Kevin can join in time, and then be a 5 vs 4. So we might see ROCCAT just chill out a little bit, wait for the cooldowns to be ready, reset the game, then regroup and do the same 1-4 because nobody can stop Overpow.
Yeah, Overpow and Woolite with some side lane farm. Get some juicy CS. Kevin still yet to break 100. He's managed to get his hands on a Randian's Omen, but at 21 minutes, he's not in a good position. Nukeduck gets some damage down onto Froggen as Kevin eats yet another Dark Binding. There's no minions for Elements to play with, and here comes Overpow.
Kevin is being sacrificed here by Elements. You saw Rekkles twice now go to the top lane and push out the wave. That was a lane Kevin could have farmed. Bot lane has been pushed down as well all the time, or Overpow has been sitting there, meaning that Kevin couldn't join or go down to that lane. So basically, Elements right now is saying, we want all the farm on our carries, and we don't care about you. You've died too many times, you're too far behind in farm, we're just going to keep you up, and you're just going to be a tank. Nothing else. But he needs to be able to get a side lane. Otherwise, he's going to be so weak that he can't take any damage from the likes of a LeBlanc and a Corki in these fights. So they got to give him some farm, not put him in a mid lane where he doesn't really add too much. But as long as the lanes are being pushed down towards ROCCAT at this point by the likes of Rekkles, then there's no farm to get from Kevin.
So Rekkles needs to find himself that gold. Not going to get his hands in the jungle camp. You can see Shook gearing out those Raptors. Nukeduck looking for a flank. Nukeduck's looking for a target and got himself 200 CS by the 21 minutes. Almost near his hourglass.
He wants to get that one as well against all this physical damage. Remember, only physical damage from Elements, and then you have the Annie to provide some magic. That's about it. ROCCAT is going to go full armor here and just dive onto these double AD carries who doesn't really have any peel, because Froggen as well, he's going for damage instead of utility, so no Iceborne Gauntlet. There's barely any kiting available for them. It's only the Sivir ulti that's going to add some mobility to try and disengage.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that's going to be enough for Elements. Muramana was completed and upgraded for Froggen. His hands on that red buff. Woolite continues to shove out the wave, but look at this. There's Rekkles moving to the bottom lane. Kevin does have some farm up top, but it may not be enough. The rest of ROCCAT are grouping towards the inner turret.
And it won't be for long either, because ROCCAT see him top lane with the wave that's been building up very slowly. So they go to the bottom side now, meet the wave, you take a tower, might even try and force a teleport from Kevin. Morgana has just been popped, 15 seconds on the dragon. This is good timing for them again. And look at all the wards in the jungle around this blue buff of Elements. Look at Nyph, he's gonna die.
Nyph gets just destroyed. The chains is enough. Now Woolite looking to 1v1 Rekkles. He velks in, heal, the rocket, the death of Rekkles. And Woolite manages to make it work. ROCCAT are continuing to group. Teleport coming down for Kevin on the inhibitor turret. Actually, it's Overpow teleporting in. Kevin did recall. It's recalled that one. Now the inhibitor's getting dropped. 23 minutes. ROCCAT find 2 kills. Thanks to a pick from Nukeduck, and they take the inhibitor.
A pick from Nukeduck again, also the kill onto Rekkles. He just had 2 seconds left on Flash, and he could have stayed alive, But this, again, perfect play. Power play from ROCCAT. They've ward up the jungle. No way Elements can get a flank onto them. No wards. They could teleport in behind them from the Gnar. And then you just see Kevin sitting at top lane trying to finally get some farm. And you know you have 5 guys on the bottom side to take it again. Look at the minimap. No reaction from anyone. Ezreal as well from Froggen sitting in the mid lane. Another pick onto Nyph. Not the first time in this game. Being caught slightly out in here for Rekkles. Just a few seconds on his flash. And Woolite takes the trade. And the last rocket coming in. Boom.
I think there was 2 crits back to back as well. Woolite, Trinity Force paying off. Manages to take him down. We do see again Nukeduck looking for more. Death cap actually completed. Thanks to all of the gold that he picked up. Well, we'll see if Nukeduck gets taken out. Does get caught by the stun. Shook gets caught by a Dark Binding. Black Shield is on, but it might not be enough. Boomerang slow. It's not going to be able to hold Nukeduck down. Elements invest a fair amount, and Nukeduck gets out clean. Vander with a good Dark Binding. Good
reaction time from Nukeduck as well. Flashing the Tibbers. Actually went for death cap because he's so far ahead. He's just looking to assassinate people. That Outlaws can come in later for him. His 2 tanks is going to do enough.
Probably going to be a Void Staff next. Considering how the game is going, ROCCAT doesn't need to buy defensive on Nukeduck yet.
Very true. He's so mobile anyway. There's not really any lockdown outside of Nyph to maybe try and get him. And if you miss the Tibbers like we saw before here, when Nukeduck flashed it away, suddenly the LeBlanc can do whatever she wants.
And I also don't see an AD carry getting the time that they need to kill a LeBlanc that's got this much AP already. So Nukeduck is in a great position. The double AD from Elements is simply not working. 25 minutes in, they're 5,000 gold down. They're down 2 towers. They're down 3 dragons. I mean, this is the same scenario that Gambit were in just a few moments ago. And Gambit had such a decisive win.
I just love this play again from ROCCAT. They just choose 2 lanes. Okay, mid and top lane. We completely take over that jungle once again. So you have to go back to your own base, and now we can just freely get some damage on the turrets. You have to take the long route around if you want to try to defend. So there's nothing Elements can do in time other than maybe get a kill on ROCCAT here. Or Vander. Nope, flashing it away.
Vander even surviving. He's got a 25-minute support hourglass.
But this is just the first time we see ROCCAT play so well early on.
Yeah.
Really use the mid-game spikes and use the map and vision control, because they are the team who buys the most wards. They're finally using them really offensively to force Elements out and just take over the entire map. Really, really well done.
Now Rekkles has been forced to do cleanup duty in the back. Still no farm going to Kevin. 125 after 26 minutes. Rekkles is farming that bottom lane. Their supers pushing in, but there are no inner turrets left. They're down to inhibitors only.
Yeah, and you'll get to this point when you run double AD. If you fall behind, and especially if you lose the ward war in your own jungle, so you no longer can prevent any flanks from coming in from the likes of Irelia, from the likes of LeBlanc, well then you can't do anything because you're too squishy overall with your carries. Rekkles might be the next target. Nukeduck, sadly, not getting a piece of him. We got to back away there. Standard war between Norway and Sweden. We see it often in Scandinavia. And then we have the Danish player from Froggen in the mid lane, so see who can kill each other. I root for the Danish people.
Definitely gone all Nordic on this one. After your little Soren v Soren battle on PTL, discussing their favorite foods. Your Danish sausage pølse.
Yeah.
If anyone's had some, let me know how it tastes. Deficio reckons it's the best. But let's get back on track. ROCCAT with absolute vision are going to start off this Baron. Elements unable to reply. Nukeduck can apply the defensive duty and force Froggen away. Wow, look at that. Shook's gone in. He's not going to be able to get out of this one. Baron goes to ROCCAT. Shook goes down.
So far, they can keep creating picks with their comp. They're stacking full armor against the double AD from Elements, the physical damage all around. So there's nothing Elements can do in terms of team fighting, not now, not in 20 minutes either. They might hit a point where they can try and kite it out. If you really, really get past the point where Corki's damage starts falling off Irelia as well, you can start dealing with her. But then again, you have to kill these tanks.
I think you're way optimistic. Jankos is never going to let them get to that point. ROCCAT with Baron buffer on the middle inhibitor turret. It is taken down. They are now onto their second inhib of the game. ROCCAT at 29 minutes are shattering the base of Elements. And this is League of Legends by the numbers. ROCCAT got an advantage. They got their items. They got the fights they wanted. Nukeduck wants to get even more.
He's been on fire this game, like the rest of his team. Great shot calling. Again, they really played this lead well. Used the mid game. Love the way they place the wards. Love the lanes they decide to push in. You have seen how Elements had no response. No chance of ever grouping up as a team and trying to like wave and defend. Never gonna happen when you're forced to constantly run between two lanes and you cannot go into your own jungle because then you face check a LeBlanc who's gonna one-shot you. This is just perfect play by ROCCAT. As long as they can finish it now, 2 inhibitors gone. 4th dragon, you don't even care about that one at this point. Just go straight for top lane, wait for super minions. Not enough wave clear for Elements to defend it.
Yeah, that's actually something that's interesting to note. You know, Gambit's victory earlier today, ROCCAT's win that's going to happen shortly, really, with Overpow, Frozen Heart, and Randuin's.
Let's see.
It's all teamwork. It's decision-making. It's map play. And it's great to see. This is a rematch. Elements were able to win after 64 minutes. Back in week 2, I think it was. ROCCAT dug deep, ROCCAT defended, but Elements are not in a position to do so today.
No, just falling way too far behind early on. Kevin with a lot of stupid deaths, honestly, for himself. And then ROCCAT as well, just being able to push every single lane, every single advantage. Overpow was so far ahead of Mr. Irelia.
Look at that!
This game is over.
The Mimic Distortion just destroying. Cataclysm comes down. Tower's taken out in the background. Elements are in full retreat. It is a basic win for ROCCAT. All inhibitors down. 31 minutes. ROCCAT are knocking on the Nexus turrets. Elements are just disconnected from this game. ROCCAT so good. We do see On the Hunt thrown out from Rekkles. It is a last-ditch effort. Overpow is going to solo Rekkles. It's not going to be enough as Nukeduck looking to close out Nyph. Kill credit goes to Overpow. And ROCCAT end their losing streak and make Elements go 0-5 in the spring splits.
Honestly, just a perfect game for them. Everything from the way they handle the early game into the mid-game transition, the rotations, everything. They're so happy. Finally, they pick up a win.